Maggie McCallett, Terry Fields, Terry Lodge, Ted Wendler,
Present.
Victor Ramos,
Present.
Tim London,
Present.
Ed Fensley,
Here.
Larry Colletti, Nick Monster,
Here. Here.
Gail Bellin, Mike Barker,
Here.
Nancy Epps, here, Christy Gillis,
Here.
Jason Oftenberg,
Present.
Maggie Ardito,
Here.
Elizabeth Bonds, Amy Stroger,
Here.
Daniel Nicholas, Trevor Martin, Suzette Cameron,
Here.
Frank, Megan Lindsay, Siva Prasad, Sal Kessler, Borna Bhattacharya, on said I. We have a quorum.
All right, great. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have any public comments at this time? About online public comments? Okay. We'll move on to action item A. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I get a motion to allow the remote members to vote
So moved.
in a second?
Second.
Okay,
Okay.
so moved. We have a motion and a second. Action item A, review approval of the June 10th, 2026 BPAC meeting minutes. Can we get a motion to approve? that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and a second. So the motion passes. It is, oh, wait, we're going to vote the ayes? Okay. All the ayes?
Aye.
All the nays? Okay, looks like the ayes have it, so the motion passes. Presentation A, I'm sorry, B, review, recommend approval of amendment fiscal year 26-27 to 30-31 transportation improvement program to incorporate the roll forward project. That'll be Steve.
Yes, thank you. So in your agenda packet, starting on page 8, is our TIP roll forward amendment. We do this every year. There are projects that the work program, when it we have projects that are not authorized for June 30th. Those projects that are in the work program, they automatically the new year, but that's not the case with the TIP. We have to take projects that weren't authorized by June 30th, and we have to take those and we have to amend them. TIP, which is effective on July 1st. In your agenda packet, you not only have the resolution, but you have a summary report of the bicycle and pedestrian projects that we're amending into the current year TIP. It is 3 pages long. There are 2 Flagler County projects, Lehigh Graham Swamp Trail, Sun Trail Trailhead, and the Graham Swamp Trail from Lehigh Trail to the Graham Swamp Conservation Area. The rest are Volusia County projects. Also notice that on page 3, near the bottom, we have a table of funding code. LF are local funds, state funds have the codes DDR, DIH, DIOH, and TLWR. The rest are federal funds. Many of these projects are trail projects. We have a Safe Routes to School sidewalk project on the first page near around Campbell Middle School and toward the small elementary school here in Daytona. Several other sidewalk projects. Some are intersection projects. And one is a ped safety project on the bascule bridges on here in Volusia County. It's at the bottom of page 2. Are there any questions about the roll forward report or about the TIP amendment?
Hello, Stephen.
Yes.
So rolling forward, they go into the last year of the work program. Where do they fit in the work program?
They'll fit in the work program in fiscal year 27.
Oh, okay.
I have a question, Steve. These are already approved, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So in the event that the amendment on the homestead exemption passes, it won't affect any of these projects because they're all state and federal, so there's no local.
No.
I was just curious.
No, it won't affect these projects.
Well, okay, very good. Thanks. Any other questions for Steve? Online? Okay, can we get a motion approved?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. This will be a roll call vote.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so motion carries. So the motion passes. Action item V, presentation discussion of safety issues related to micro-mobility devices. And that will be Steve. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me back up. We've got a presentation on A. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, we have a video to show you of the Dangerous by Design work in Orlando. Before we do, let me give you some background on this report. This is authored by Smart Growth America, which is a nonprofit that focuses on pedestrian safety and other areas such as climate change. This report, it ranks states in the largest 101 metro areas for the period 2020 to 2024. This report, this is the 2026 report we'll be discussing today. The last report was published in 2024. And back in 2024, this area, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach area, was tied with Baton Rouge, Louisiana at number 5. This year, we're ranked number 14. Now, that's a good sign, okay, when you're able to move down on this report. And it provides you a clear picture of long-term safety, road safety trends. So we started this discussion at the last meeting, and we'll continue it today. First of all, I want to show you this video that Smart Growth America has produced of the work they do in the Orlando area.
My parents' best friend died of heart attack. My sister's best friend died of heart attack. And I just remember thinking, nobody's questioning this at all. It doesn't make sense.
Every driver is one flat tire away from being a pedestrian.
Why was this person doing this in the first place? There is not enough people that care about this issue.
The area that always gets the least attention is the safety of the design of our roadways.
You know, people jaywalk out of the sector.
The whole point of dangerous by design is we design our roadways in a way that is hard for people to understand the best way to use them. Orlando's had some really good leadership, both elected and who's leading their transportation work. And it's starting to pay off, and that's really exciting to see. It helped us to really focus on the areas that show the data, right? So the data shows us that these are the areas that need the most help. I look at transportation and multimodal use, not just like people who use bicycle lane on the weekends just to get their exercise. I look at, mothers who have to take their kids to school, have to get to work, things like that, and we need to provide other options for all of them.
With the example of Oak Ridge Road, that was an old existing corridor with an open median and open lanes in either direction.
This particular area had a lot of pedestrians, a lot of walkers. There were 2 schools within the corridor that we were working on, so we had a lot of conflict. We were getting complaints from the crossing guards saying, hey, we can't get these kids across the street, people aren't stopping.
That created a dangerous situation.
Part of this project was a couple things. Number one, put that shared use path on the same side with the school, and also putting the crosswalks in locations that made sense. Having lanes that weren't as wide helped slow people down. Having those pedestrian hazard begins at the school crossing, so that way traffic is okay, we have to stop. That was completely safety for all the pedestrians, specifically for children.
And we've seen a dramatic improvement in the numbers.
Back in 2015, there was a big drainage project like this was for about 2 years closed. They put this nice 10-foot path here, shared use path, smoothed out potholes. First day of school was like August something 2018. And we're crossing, and I'm just like, there's no crosswalks. Like they didn't put crosswalks except for these ones like along the path, mile stretch. I was like, okay, somebody needs to hear about this. And I just remember I emailed the commissioner and she got it done right away. So they did a crosswalk and that was about it.
As we see the trends of fatalities, particularly for those walking, there are tens of thousands of lives on the line, and we need to take that seriously.
But infrastructure is taking us years to get here, but that doesn't mean it's not a fight worth fighting.
We're doing this for those kids. We can't just throw our hands up in the air and say we can't win. It's something that comes tomorrow, people are still gonna go to work, and we still have a responsibility to make these communities as safe as
Now, this TPO, we have our own Vision Zero action plan that was adopted in June 2025. And there are a number of pedestrian safety projects in the area that are helping us get to zero fatalities and serious injuries by the year 2050. That's our plan. And just one of the projects is the new signal that's going up right here on ISB and Lockhart Street. That project is 10 years in the making, and now we're starting to see it take shape. It's near Bethune-Cookman University, and it's going to be a full signal. It's going to help the students get from one side of the road to the other. Another project that you've heard about, we had a presentation several months ago, and it is a pedestrian tunnel that FDOT will be building to help Emory-Riddle students cross Clyde Morris Boulevard near the entrance of Emory-Riddle. So though, all those are projects that will help make the roads safer for pedestrians to cross. Does anyone have any comments or would like to add to what we've seen or discussed so far?
I'd like to share that the rapidly flashing beacons that are on Oak Street and Selland Circle on the new section, it's so cool. They're about, I don't know, 150 feet apart, but you push one and they both come on. So if you're crossing, it tells you someone's about to cross again. So I thought that was pretty cool. I haven't seen two of those close enough that they actually talk to each other. So I felt a little better crossing there, knowing that those were on. So I've been going by there quite a bit since they fixed the trail, and now all of those flashing beacons are now working. So
Okay, good.
so just little things like that that make it a little weird.
Yes. And we shouldn't forget about the efforts of our Best Foot Forward colleagues who are also working hard here in Volusia County and in Flagler County on their pedestrian safety program. As you know, the TPO is a funding partner with the Best Foot Forward for Pedestrian Safety program. And hopefully that can contribute to our standing in the area continuing to fall on this report.
Thanks, Stephen, for this update. So yeah, the good news side, I would add to the highlighting of projects and point out that right here in Daytona, 3 come to mind. A1A, which FDOT has reduced lane size, in some cases dropped lanes, built raised medians, tightened curb corners, all those things make it safer. And then also International Speedway Boulevard on the island side. And then Beach Street is another example where the designs make it safer. So that's the good news. The bad news is, and I feel obligated to point this out, because when Beth Osborne, who's the head of Smart Growth America, is quoted as saying about Orlando, slightly less dangerous is not the same as safe. I want to point out that I think a fair reading of the data is that's still us. There's actually 400 metropolitan statistical areas. So it's possible that Smart Growth America highlighted a subset of those, but that number 14 is out of a baseline of more than 400. So we still have one of the highest rates of fatalities in the nation for people walking and biking. And you're right, Stephen, going down is good news. We've got 386 or more slots to keep going down. So I hope we keep doing it. And then the other sobering thing I want to point out is that most of our expenditures are going to things that make it worse. So I will be the first to praise FDOT District 5 for doing great projects. And I'm hoping that Moody Boulevard, SR 100 in Flagler Beach is going to be next in line. It's grossly over-designed, and hopefully we'll have options to make that safer. But I want to say, just again, from the numbers side, the data says that most of our money is going to make intersections bigger. It's going to add lanes, and it is going to expanding capacity in ways that do exactly what we're not supposed to do. So good news, we've got some really good projects. Good news, we've got a goal. But the bad news is the money we're putting in is less. The money we're putting in to make it better, as of right now, is a lot less than the money we're putting in to make it worse. So good news, bad news. I hope we can take this seriously in a way that eventually really pivots that money to say, if we're serious about people not dying, and by the way, it's not just people walking and biking. The fatality rates with these lousy designs mean that people driving die at higher rates too. And so it's everybody. I just hope one of these years, I'm still around and I can see that pivot. So yeah, good news. TPO is working on it. FDOT D5 is working on it. That's the good part. We got a long way to go.
Can I ask for some examples of what you're talking about? What have we funded recently that could have been done differently?
In my own county of Flagler, I would point out that State Road 100 has been widened in recent years, and additional lanes have been added at intersections. And those are very costly projects. And they were done in ways that had swoopy curb corners, meaning vehicles, when they're turning right, go fast. And just that additional width increases the crossing distance for people walking across the street. So that's one example when I think of the intersections that are west of I-95 on SR 100. But that type of thing where you have a standard signalized intersection, and over the years, lanes are added and curb corners are swoopy as opposed to sharp. Those would be examples that this report for many years has highlighted make it worse. So that's the bad news, and those designs keep coming.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, maybe Stephen can answer this. Is there a national organization like us that should be making the standards for those types of projects based on that input from residents that are experiencing the problems with them, so that no intersection is built that way again, because the data show that this increases problems in this in this area? You know, it's hard for us sitting here in our own little TPO to see all those things. I wasn't aware of that. So,
Yeah.
You know, we could approve a project, not have a clue that this is making it worse instead of better.
Mhm.
I'm sure we have.
Well, much of our funding that goes towards these projects are federal funds. And as such, all of those projects funded by federal funds have to meet federal requirements by the Federal Highway Administration. And that's regardless of what organization builds them, whether it's the city or Volusia County or the state of Florida. All of them have to meet federal standards if they use federal funds.
So does that mean the federal standards might need to be addressed? Maybe groups like us should be more activist as far as saying, thank you for the money, but we really like to have it be done better. We'd like to have it be spent more wisely. So could you look at the problems that we're having here on the ground?
That's a good question. I think when it comes to our role, I think what we can do is we can help identify when there are safety issues out there on the roads, on the sidewalks, on the trails. we can bring that to attention of officials. There's a safety issue, so it can be addressed. Also, our recommendations that go to the board are such that they're focused on bicycle and pedestrian type projects. And those are the vulnerable road users out there, you know, people on bikes, people walking. Those are vulnerable road users. And here at the BPAC, we help give them a voice when we advocate for their safety. So that's another thing that we can do here at the BPAC.
Okay, go ahead, Ed.
Thank you, Stephen, for the comments. You've raised some interesting stuff, but I got a question, a couple of them. First of all, are you suggesting that federal standards are requiring intersections like SR 100 and oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the one that runs up and down Palm Coast, Belterre with the multi-leg, with the, you know, that was recently widened to add lanes and add turn lanes, or Palm Coast Parkway and Old Kings Road, which is another one where it was widened, turn lanes were added, and there's no pedestrian, there's no refuges in between, and the curb corners are big. Are you suggesting that it was a federal requirement to have those designs? Because last I checked, there's a lot of federal design standards that call for not doing that.
Well, what I'm saying is that we have to balance the needs of all road users. Now, I understand that a lot of the improvements that are made on roads are made to keep traffic moving fast and at high volumes. But that can also make it harder for pedestrians to cross these wide, high-speed roads. And so we need safety improvements to help pedestrians cross these roads, to help bicyclists ride along the roads, and if they're on sidewalks, to ride on sidewalks. We need to balance the needs of all users.
Go ahead, Jason.
So the TPO got this awesome Safe Streets for All grant a couple years ago, and there's a grand plan to make many improvements that aren't necessarily going to come through our normal annual process. But so our, I guess, communities or towns and cities in our Flagler and Volusia County hopefully will pick those up, right, and submit them. I know there's been talk, at least from the League of American Bicyclists, that the whole Safe Streets for All program may be in jeopardy because the next step is the implementation process because they've done the planning part. So you might want to call your US Senator and tell them to save complete streets in the next budget. But even if they save the money, that doesn't mean that our local governments will apply for implementation. So one thing we can do is we can advocate for this great plan that everyone worked hard on, that the TPA paid money for, and even the county put in money for. And so there's been some momentum in that direction. So I think one thing we can do is continue the momentum on something we already have some plans for.
That's a good point. Our Vision Zero Action Plan has scores of recommended safety improvements. Unfortunately, many of those improvements are not funded. What we're seeing now is that we're starting to see local governments come forward and apply for grants. Some of them from the Safe Streets and Roads for All, to implement those projects, to fund them and to get them built. That's part of what needs to happen. We're also hopeful that our local governments will take some of those projects, put together applications, and apply through our call for projects to help those projects get on our priority list so the TPO can fund them, right? And I mean, it's good to have recommended safety improvements, but at some point we have to get these built. And a part of that is getting them funded. So, because we've got a lot of projects that are unfunded, but we know where we need the improvements here in Volusia County and in Flagler County.
So when we put out these call for projects, do we give an example of this is something you could ask for, this would be a safety improvement in your community that you could ask for, that this funding could be tied to? I don't know how much imagination they're using as far as, you know, what really needs to be improved.
Right.
Not just, you know, Councilman Sam is coming to me saying, I'm going to be able to ride my bike more safely. Well, okay, so what can we do about that? You know, what are some ways we could accomplish that? Because we have that going on in Consumma. Some of our councilmen love riding their bikes. And they'll just come to the town and say, you know, I feel like I'm in danger on my bicycle. What are you going to do? Drop the speed limit. That's the, you know, standard answer. No consideration of anything else that might also be applicable.
Right. Well, well, again, our Vision Zero action plan has many recommended projects, and the plan, it highlights areas where there are fatalities and serious injuries on our road network in Volusia County and in Flagler County. So there's no guesswork. So we know where the crashes are, and we know what needs to be done to reduce the fatalities and reduce serious injuries. It's all called out in our plan. We're just hoping that you know, our local governments will continue to apply for grants to fund those safety projects, continue to take those projects, create applications, bring them to us so we can get them in our call for projects and on our priority list to fund them. And that way we can help get these safety projects on the ground where they can do some good.
We do point out to them, hey, you have a problem here that we've recognized.
Mhm.
You could fix by doing this, that, and that you might want to apply for.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. And it's happening. It's happening rather slowly. I hope we get more of that activity. So,
I have one more comment, Stephen.
yes.
Just, it sounds like we would like a bigger slice of the pie so we can fund this stuff. And I know we're trying to balance, you know, people that are driving cars and walking and everything. And the way I think about it is, I think like 18-20% of all fatalities are pedestrians and bicyclists. I think it's something like that. But we get like 2% of the budget. So all we're asking for is like 20% of the budget to match the victim, you know, to match the percentage of people that are being injured, throw that percent of the budget at the problem. That sounds like that'd be like 10 times more money. So even 5 times or something would be. But I don't know. So somewhere, I don't know how far you have to go up in the halls of power, but someone's making this decision that safety for biking is 2%.
Mhm.
And you could say, well, the level of the problem is that people walking and biking are 18-20% of the casualties. So please use that if you find it useful.
Yes, yes. And I'll also remind you that this TPO sets aside 30% of our SU funds to bicycle and pedestrian projects, and 40% to traffic operations, safety projects, another 30% to transit projects.
Yeah, locally, I think I was looking at the whole FDOT transportation budget for the 2%, but it's something like that.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think that's a great idea, and I know other jurisdictions have considered that as well. Just make the investments at least match the safety risk. The other thing I'd point out is if traffic capacity is added, which again is discretionary as to whether we do that, but if we choose to continue to put most of the money into traffic capacity, there are designs that can reduce risks for everybody. And I mentioned the sharpness of the curbs, how curb corners are built. You always need a curb corner if you have a signalized intersection. If you don't pick a roundabout, which is another thing that could be done, traffic circles, which keep people alive. But if we don't use a traffic circle, next best thing is at least have those curb corners sharp, and median refuges for anytime you have more than 2 lanes to cross. That's another example of a protected median refuge. Those are design features. If you're going to make an intersection bigger, those are 2 examples of things you can do. If you don't do the best thing, which is take the signal out in the first place and turn it into a traffic circle. So I totally agree with Jason. I hope we do that, shift the money to where people's lives are being lost, but also for the car capacity, at least use the designs that we know save lives. Narrower intersections, median refuges, sharp curb corners, those would be 3. But I got to tell you, having done this in Flagler Beach and Flagler County, there are FDOT engineers that are awesome. There's a lot of FDOT engineers that today resist those 3 things, okay? And there's no reason in federal standards, there's no reasons in state standards, there's no reason in local standards for them to do that. So that's a culture change too. And yes, it means cars can't go really fast around a corner, but that's okay. We'll all be alive. You'll still get to your dentist appointment, but maybe you'll be a couple seconds later. Thank you, Stephen, by the way, for highlighting the stuff. And I apologize that I get a little emotional about this because I do pick at people who and want to stop.
I thought they were great comments. Thank you, Ed, Jason, and everybody else that participated. All right. Okay, no, that's what I was just getting ready to do. All right, we've got a presentation on the discussion of safety issues relating to micro mobility devices by Steve. Yes, ma'am.
Amy Stroger had a comment back on action item, the tip amendment. She said that page 13 of the agenda, project FM number 477 is a safe concrete project.
It's a, you said it's a safe routes to school project?
No, it's a city of Palm Coast project.
Oh, okay.
Not a county project.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, got it. Okay, so for this presentation, what we wanted to do is discuss safety issues related to micromobility devices such as electric bicycles, scooters, etc. We have in your agenda packet, we've got a little safety flyer that helps you with the difference between some of these devices. We also have a video. Can we show that video, please? Pam, it's on a loop, so can we show it twice?
E-bikes are essentially any bicycle or tricycle that's equipped with pedals, speed or saddle for riders. It has an electric motor. Now there's 3 different types of classification of e-bikes. It's important to understand the difference between all 3. The first is a class 1. It's basically a pedal-assisted e-bike. The bicycle cannot exceed 20 miles per hour. Class 2 e-bike is
is a pedal assist, but also has a throttle. Again, this bicycle can't exceed 20 miles per hour. And finally, a class 3, which is a motor that assists the rider and ceases to help that e-bike rider when it reaches a top speed of 28 miles per hour. So what if your e-bike can reach speeds of 30, 35, 40, 45 miles per hour or more? Well, then it's no longer considered an e-bike. It's actually an electric motorcycle. That would require registration and driver's licenses. Now, e-bikes are permitted on streets, highways, roadways, shoulders, bike lanes, bicycle and multiple use paths. Now, there are no current age restrictions for e-bikes, but please don't forget, helmets will be required for riders under 16 years of age. And e-bikes are essentially any bicycle or tricycle that's equipped with pedals, seat or saddle for the rider to sit on, and has an electric motor not to exceed. Now, there's 3 different types of classifications of e-bikes. We understand the difference between all 3. The first is a class 1. It's basically a pedal assist e-bike. The bicycle cannot exceed 20 miles per hour. Class 2 e-bike is a pedal assist, but also has a throttle. Again, this bicycle can't exceed 20 miles per hour. And finally, a class 3, which is a motor that assists the rider and ceases to help that e-bike rider when it reaches a top speed of 28 miles per hour. So what if your e-bike can reach speeds of 30, 35, 40, 45 miles per hour or more? Well, then it's no longer considered an e-bike. It's actually an electric motorcycle. And that would require registration and driver's licenses to operate. Now, e-bikes are permitted on streets, highways, roadways, shoulders, bike lanes, bicycle and multiple use paths. Now, there are no current age restrictions for e-bikes, but please don't forget, helmets will be required for riders under 16 years of age.
Okay, thank you.
E-bike.
All right, so what we're seeing now is that we've got local governments and we've got school districts creating rules to govern the age of riders of these devices, where they can ride, how they can ride. Several months ago, we had Palm Coast come and tell us about the ordinance that they created to regulate these devices. Since then, City of DeLand, City of Deltona, Daytona Beach has discussed this. School districts here in Volusia County and others, Central Florida, have created a variety of rules to govern how these devices are used. And a few months ago, the Florida legislature, in their last session, they had a bill that would create statewide requirements for these devices. Not only that, they would address pedestrian safety, rental operators, crash reporting, and create a micro-mobility device safety task force. Now, and there were a lot of common sense areas to these bills, such as if you had someone on a bicycle that got on a sidewalk, they would have to slow down when they come up to pass a pedestrian and they'd have to make a sound and also tell the pedestrian which side they're going to pass on, and especially slow down. Listen, these are common sense safety measures that here at TPO we have been recommending to riders for years. Right? Unfortunately, those bills were vetoed by Governor DeSantis, but the public safety problem is still there. And I'm hopeful that next year the legislature will take this back up, and next year we'll have another governor. Hopefully we could get some statewide laws on the books so that there's some consistency and there is, you don't have different rules for different cities and different school districts to follow. Have some statewide guidance. So, and there's the veto letter from the governor. In your agenda packet, there's also a safety flyer that's very similar to the video that we just saw. And I think part of the problem comes in the fact that not so much in the e-bikes and the e-scooters that have the motors up to 750 watts. It is the e-motos or e-motorcycles that have larger motors and can go faster. When you put those in the hands of relatively inexperienced riders, especially kids, 12, 13, 14 years old, then you have a challenge. You have a challenge to keeping a safe environment, not only for people on those devices, but for pedestrians as well. So, so what do you all think? What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
If they're e-moto bikes, I mean motorcycles, basically motor scooters. What is the age range then that at which a child can be licensed to drive one of those things?
15. I don't think there's a statewide age for e-motorcycles. I don't think there are currently requirements as far as the age is concerned. Now, and that's part of the problem. There's a patchwork of regulations, and the regulations when it comes to the classes of e-bikes and e-scooters, they are pretty well defined. But when it comes to the e-motos, right, they fall outside of these classes, and they're more difficult to regulate because you don't have state standards that are complete with those yet.
So that's something that still needs to be addressed by the legislature.
That still needs to be addressed.
So
Hopefully
we
it'll
should
be addressed.
Contacting our legislators and telling them
Yes,
that we recognize as a body that this is a problem.
it is a problem. It's a problem, and it's being tackled on the local level. But hopefully we can get it tackled on the state level next year.
Because we get our driver's licenses by state regulations, not by county regulations. No, we get it from the county. So would that be something that we would put a letter out as Volusia-Flagler TPO that we recommend the legislature look at this in the next session?
Well,
Recognize this is a problem.
Well, here at the TPO, we have in our UPWP this year an e-bike safety improvement study. Now, we haven't developed the scope of this study yet, but that's something that we intend to do for the next few months. And we intend to undertake this project sometime between October and the end of this fiscal year. And so in our executive committee, they want to see an education component to this project. And so this is something that you'll hear more about. So that's what we intend to work on here at the TPO. And of course, we'll keep you all posted.
Seems like the end result should go beyond us and should go enact the statutes that we need in.
I agree.
So when assuming that it's a project that's going to cover those types.
Mhm.
Study, we already did it, and you can use this information to help you proceed to check with your other counties, and see if they're not having similar problems. You know they are, especially in South Florida, Orlando, Tampa, and Jacksonville, you know.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Got her hand up. Maggie has her hand up.
Go ahead, Maggie.
Okay,
on
are
mute?
you hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so as president of the St. John's River to Sea Loop Alliance and also on the board of the Florida Bicycle Association, we take this very seriously, and we really think that legitimate e-bikes are part of the future of transportation. And the problem is the confusion between what is a legal bicycle and what is not a legal bicycle. But what we think was that the bill put forth to the state was really important, and we at the Florida Bicycle Association are very disappointed that the bill was vetoed, because we think it's really important that there be a statewide policy regarding what is a legal e-bike and what is important and what can be considered also a legal bicycle, and how we regulate them so that we don't impede the progress to a multimodal transportation, but at the same time keep people safe on sidewalks and bike trails. So it's really important, and we have to address this problem at the statewide level. So I hope that the Volusia-Flagler TPO will get us behind us on this project to take this to the state level. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie.
I'll just comment, I saw my first e-moto parked at Publix, and I took a picture of it, and it basically said it's not legal to ride it on the street or on the sidewalk, but only on closed courses, and it can go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. And I went to the website, and it says it's an incredible number of watts, way over 750, but you have to click on it to get the full speed. So they have their first page makes it look a little safer until you click through. So New York City is actually trying to like prevent Amazon from selling these things, because the problem is I can order any of these things and it'll be sent to my house. And so somehow it got to Publix. Someone had to drive it to Publix. And I was just shocked at how fast they look at it, and why they're just not motorcycles. I don't know. But on the other side, I have 2 electric bikes that I bought a kit from Europe to just make my front wheel, but it's to the European standard. So it's 15 miles an hour max, 250 watts. And why we can't just buy a bike like that here, I don't know. Parents, if you're going to buy a kit, wouldn't you want the 250 watt, 15 mile an hour limit kind of bike? So I don't know why we jumped to these 3 classes and don't have the class that I have. The other thing that I don't know, I haven't read a lot of other bikes, but I can set mine to say, I'm on a sidewalk now, I don't want to go faster than 10, and it will not assist me beyond 10. Because on an e-bike, it's really easy to go faster than 10. But this one, you can dial it down and the model will just cut out at whatever speed you want it to cut out at. And so I don't know if any other e-bike riders here, can you set your speed? I don't know, but I really like that factor. So that's just two personal things. I've seen my first E-moto in the wild. It's when, you can't see them when they're going because they're gone. But when you can see one parked, you can identify it. And I wish we had the 250 watt standard here because Europe does that. And
Did the E-moto, did it have a license plate bracket?
And,
I think, you know-
we totally agree with the 250 watt and also the 25 kilometer speed limit, which is about 16 miles an hour. So we are 100% agree with the international standard. And we wish that they would be separated from these other bikes that do not require pedaling and also have speeds legally up to 280 miles, 200 miles per hour. And those are the legal 3 classes of e-bikes, and e-motos go 750 and way beyond that. We do not want those on our trails. We don't want them on our sidewalks. And so we just need to straighten out the classifications and the policies.
I just wanted to comment. I remember as an aviator, when they came out with the drones, the popularity, the regulatory authorities, federal government, the state government, the locals were way behind the curve. I had a seasonal gig in between my normal day job in one of Volusia County's lifeguards in New Smyrna, and it was the wild, wild west. The beach are buzzing people's heads. Guys drinking about 9 beers or, falling down to the girls walking on the beach. And I'd call some officers over because I'm familiar with federal regulations. Hey, you talk to those guys over there? They couldn't do anything about it. And eventually, when they started getting too close to airplanes in the sky, they decided to regulate it. You have to have a license, you have to take a course, et cetera. And this reminds me of the same thing. The technology is so far ahead from where the regulators are getting involved in doing things. And I too was very disappointed in the bill being vetoed. And when one of our local governments in Volusia County attempted to regulate this, the sheriff, very popular, I understand that, but said, no, man, I'm not doing that. How am I going to keep track of kids going to school and making sure they are either of age or competent in using this? So the state really needs to take a leadership role in this, get a handle on it. Because, I'm cycling 50 miles a week. Jason's probably doing that in a day. And in my community, you see it, and there are people walking and they're just zooming by, and it's not a very good thing. So great input from everybody here, and hopefully we'll get this taken care of. So, any other comments? Okay, good discussion. Next up, FDOT report by Chair. How do you say?
The only update I have is the State Road 100 sidewalk repair. I just received the email that it was repaired as of today, 1:45 p.m. State Road 100, the segment on State Road 100. Stephen, we received between Old Kings Road and the pedestrian overpass.
Wonderful. I had a citizen ask me a question I didn't have a clue about. And they were asking one of the wannabe office holders, and her information was kind of directing her in the wrong way. I think it's more of an FDOT question. Volusia County put a apparently pretty popular little park on US 1 near the airport area of New Smyrna. And the citizen's complaint was, it's great that we have this nice facility there, but the traffic, it's a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. Most people go about 55. are just zipping by and it didn't feel it's very safe to get in and out of there. So I thought of you. And I said, well, I'll ask, you know.
Is that along the state?
What's that?
Is that along the state road?
I believe, isn't US one a state?
US one is. a
Yeah,
state
because
road.
it's on US one.
Yes, okay.
Going into New Smyrna, but I don't need an answer now, but maybe if you can look into it. Advise me, I'll
The
let 'em-
question is why the park was located at that.
Oh, no. The question
or the
is that
speed
it's
along-
a
Speed
nice
limit on the
little,
corridor.
yeah, I think what they're looking for is somebody to reduce the speed limit, which I know is very difficult on state roads. But I just thought I'd ask somebody that might be able to.
I can carry the information back to the department.
Okay,
and
very
get
good.
you an
Thanks.
answer.
And by the way, what Porter told us about the sidewalk along State Road 100 near that pedestrian bridge, that's something that Larry Coletti brought to our attention. Of course, he's not here today, but he rides in that area. He took some pictures, and he had to, cross the broken sidewalk. He brought it to our attention, and we're thankful that FDOT was able to address that safety issue.
Stephen, I also just wanted to point out that the FDOT Safety Office website has an updated e-bike toolkit. It's specifically meant for local governments and middle and high school students. So there's brochures, social media, safety presentations for school-aged children. So that's a safety resource, and we're also putting together some safety PSAs that hopefully should be ready the next month or two.
Okay, do you have the website address of the safety toolkit?
Yes, I
Good.
can send that to you.
I'll get it from you and we'll distribute it to the BPAC. It's e-bike safety toolkit from FDOT.
Any questions or anything else? Okay, thank you. Staff comments.
Well, I don't have any comments.
Do any other staff members have comments?
August 1st, I believe it was, or July 31st, we did a helmet fitting at the Deltona Summer Bash. Thank you, Bob Stork, for coming out and helping, as he always does. If anybody is interested in helping, we would love to have you as a volunteer. Just reach out to me. Last week, we did the Flagler County Back to School Jam and bike rodeo in Bunnell at Bunnell Elementary, and we fit 93 helmets at the Deltona event and a total of 58 at the bike rodeo, and we had help with the bike men of Flagler County for fitting those.
Awesome. Any classes anytime soon for wannabe helmet fitters?
No, I've been looking.
All right. Colleen, you have anything you'd like to say? Let's go with member comments. Megan, you're right in my line of sight, so I'm going to start with you.
Oh, no comments.
Okay, very good. Nancy?
In October, the training and the Career Training and Technology Center at the Division of Blind Services across the street from the Conklin Davis Center is doing that this year in conjunction with the 85th anniversary of the Division of Blind Services of Florida. So I will not be doing it this year. I may be on the committee. I haven't been invited yet. I think they want to kind of have it be their own puppy this year. But anyway, for those of you who have participated before, you won't be hearing from me again. I did call for a meeting, and then David called me and said, you don't have to do that this year. So The other thing is I have a very old but in good shape 2006 guide to the district's lands in the St. John's River Water Management Area. And so all of the district properties that they own and the facilities that they have are listed here, and it's free to a good home. So I'll pass it around if anybody would like to just keep it.
It may not make it very far, but it's great.
You know, even if you have a new one or
I get my feet
whatever,
wet.
I mean, you might want to just see what all they own, because I didn't realize they owned this many.
Nancy, will the White Cane Awareness Day event be on October 15th?
Let me see. I don't think I put it in my calendar.
If you haven't been to that, that's an awesome event. Well, you really get to see what it's like to be blind, and it's a trip, you know, where they escort you across the busy road with your mask or your eyes covered. Highly recommend it.
October 15th.
Okay, wonderful.
Wait, that's 27. I'm sure that's this year too. Yeah,
Looks cool.
Okay, good.
that's kind of a traditional day that was established by. Was it established by? Anyway, it's kind of traditional by one of the blindness organizations.
Bob Stork.
I'm back. Made it.
Yeah. Welcome. Any comments, Bob?
Rested up, all ready to go again.
Okay.
All right.
You say, Tim?
I thought the discussion was one of the better discussions I've been able to listen to today, since I've joined the team here. Does this, danger by design, do they have the data behind the deaths, pedestrian versus car versus bike? And that kind of stuff, or is it just ranking? Does anybody know that?
Was the question?
Well, we were ranked 14th. And so that means a number of people were perished. How did, and Ed said it was not just pedestrians, it was bike and it was automobiles. What's the breakdown of all those numbers?
It's based on the federally collated statistics. So each jurisdiction is reporting fatality rates based on 100,000, per 100,000 residents. And so Smart Growth America just takes this state and federal data and, puts it into this report. But the state and federal data will, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, but it would typically include by jurisdictions, people who are killed while walking, people who are killed while biking, people who are killed when they're driving. And then the state will report that, and the federal government will make that available.
So you go to the state.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm right. So there should be standardized reporting for that. Is that right, Stephen? And then Smart Growth America is simply kind of packaging it together. And they do highlight people walking and biking. But if I'm not mistaken, the same standardized fatality rates are available for people who are driving as well. But they tend to coincide. Generally speaking, roads that have high fatality rates, everybody tends to lose.
That was the question I had was.
There may be some exceptions, but my understanding is generally higher speed, bigger intersections, bigger roads means more people die across all user types. And then, narrower roads, traffic circles, smaller intersections, those tend to keep everybody alive.
Yeah. Their report is largely about the rankings and advocating for design changes to roadways to make it safer for pedestrians to navigate crossing them, walking alongside.
Picked up on
And
that.
we've got the full report in the agenda packet.
Okay.
Dangerous by Design 2026.
Welcome, Jeff. Anything from the schools?
This is my first meeting. I'll be the new contact for Volusia County Schools.
Okay.
So it's nice to meet everyone.
The e-bike thing's a really big deal because a lot of parents or kids, that's their source of transportation to and from school. So there are a lot of good pros if the, kiddos are kept safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it true there's a general 2-mile requirement for, you don't get the bus?
Yeah, yep, it's 2-mile radius for bus.
Tell you what, when we grew up, we didn't have any chunky kids. We all rode our bicycles. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. I wanted to follow up with what Tim was asking. I kind of, when you had mentioned the data is, take the population, take the number by category of fatalities and things like that. That 14, we would be a little skewed though, if they're using the population here without considering the influx of tourists and the ticking time bomb of A1A kids crossing.
Yeah, I don't think that data would indicate that. Nick.
That's my
I
point.
mean, because, places like New York City, which is,
Right.
I think, the most visited place in America.
Right.
And yet that has fatality rates across those categories that is much less. So it is my understanding based on 100,000 residents, but there's many, many places in this country that have a lot of visitors, New York City being one of them, but I could name 100 others. So my understanding is that the reason they highlight design is because that's the factor, right? It's not how much sunshine do you get. It's not how much visitors you get. The other thing that I remember reading that was circulated to this and other advisory groups of the TPO was FDOT's state report from several years ago, where there was a pretty deep dive into the crashes that were occurring. And my recollection of that report is it's us, it's residents that tend to be involved in crashes as both the drivers and people who are injured. So yes, that may have some impact, but again, the whole point of the report is to say it doesn't matter where somebody lives. If you have traffic circles, small intersections, narrower roadways, everybody tends to stay alive wherever they're from.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Talk too. I don't suppose I'm allowed to.
I'm sorry, somebody online talking? Oh, I'm hearing things you said. Yeah, welcome back.
Oh, I wasn't really gone.
Oh.
I have nothing to say.
Oh, yeah.
I like to point out that Ted rode the bus and his bike to get here all the way from DeLand.
Wow.
Yes.
I woke up at
You're
3:30 this
You're a
morning.
climate change. Yeah, so I already mentioned that the RFBs are open on the new trail that connects Herbert to Dunlawton down to Sullen Circle, and that's all working great. Yeah, and certain Wednesdays, usually when I come here, they have early release from Palm Terrace Elementary, and the traffic guards help me across the intersections when I'm biking here, so that's very nice. And it was very hot today, so I really salute the crossing guards that have to stand out in that hot weather that are out there. It was one thing I was wondering if FDOT could look at would be at Nova Road and Bevel Road. They have the leading pedestrian interval at that intersection. It's a really big two arterials meet. And there's a right turn lane that goes with the the leading pedestrian interval walk sign. And there's signals up on the mastheads that are blank, but I see around town in some places they can put a circle with a line through a right turn. And I'm wondering if the pedestrian button is pushed and the walk sign comes on, whether that can be, at least for the first 8 seconds, no right on red. Because everyone that's coming down Nova Road really wants to turn, and they know it's all red, so they know no one's coming the other direction to get them. And they're not really paying attention to me walking out walk light. So if there's, because it doesn't have to, you don't have to make permanent no right turn on red there, but it'd be really great if there's a pedestrian there and they activate the signal. Do we have the technological capability? I think we do, to make no right turn on red. Well, yeah, it currently it does have the LPI. It's just that the car's making the free right turns. I mean, you're supposed to stop on a red light before you turn, but I'm saying a lot of people don't. And we don't allow red light cameras. So if you could look into the feasibility, I've heard that the masks have to be a certain mass so they can sort the sign, but I think the sign's already there. Just as a
right turn movement you're talking about from
right turn movement, right?
Nova
So
to Bevel.
yeah, so here's Bevel, here's Nova. I want to cross Bevel on Nova. It gives me the LPI sign. It's all red, but there's a lot of right turn pressure on the pedestrians. I have to step out and say, whoa, okay, let you go. Will you stop? Will you stop for me? I have the light. And if they could be trained, new signal here, or a right turn not allowed when walk sign is on. Not for the full phase, of course, but just for the beginning. I'm looking for a demonstration of this somewhere. We have LPI near Embry-Riddle that works really well because it's on the campus road doesn't have a lot of traffic. So when the LPI comes on, there's not a lot of pressure on the right turns. But when you have two arterials come together and you have LPI, it doesn't really help without the no right turn on red. So that seems like, and I know if Doug Hall was here, he lives near there, and they would always talk about how that's a really tough intersection to cross just because it's so wide. And it looks like the square little display things are already there. And maybe if they can light up and say, don't turn right. If you could ask.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great visual.
I think that's a great question. The design question I would ask related to that is, what's the curb return radius? Is it swoopy and big, or is it sharp? And that's another design factor that's discretionary on the part of FDOT, because there's a lot of flexibility. I want to follow up on one thing. Several months ago, I thought we had a really interesting discussion about different types of developments and how some types of development results in higher volumes of traffic, and some types of development result in lower levels of traffic being generated. And I'm wondering if we're going to get any follow-up on that. I would love it if we did. I thought we had talked about the possibility of maybe a little bit of staff presentation on that. And one of the reasons I mentioned it today is because this sense that intersections always need to get bigger. There's always going to be more cars. I don't think the data supports that, because it is in decent part a factor of what is the type of development. In other words, more people doesn't always have to mean more traffic. It depends whether is it a sprawling single use type of development dispersed, or is it a more mixed use? Is it a more compact development? So my recollection is we did that within the last 6 months, and I thought it was an interesting kind of teaser discussion, but I also was, I thought I had the impression that maybe there was going to be a little follow-up on that. And I know we don't do land use here. That's not our job, but we do traffic. And we were talking today about how accommodating additional traffic can have a big impact on whether people walking, biking, or driving live or die. And so not necessarily the land use side, but just sort of the traffic generation side. I'm wondering if we might learn a little bit more about it. And Colleen knows a lot about this.
She does.
Sorry.
No, you're absolutely correct. We did have that conversation here, and there is the intent to come back and bring information back to not just this committee, but probably also our other advisory committees as well as the board. For us, getting through the end of last fiscal year and now just closing that out for PWP, just that took a lot of time. So it was something we were focusing on initially in this fiscal year. So hopefully that should come up with the next
couple months, but yes, thank you for
I,
keeping on top of everything.
I love it, Colleen. It took 75 years to create the problem. If it takes you a couple more months to,
Thank you for your patience.
yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for keeping it in mind.
And the UPWP is a 2 or 3 year document, right?
2 years.
2 years, okay. Is the blank map in the first year or the second year?
I believe it's in the second.
Okay, I'll be patient for next year.
Anything else, Ed?
Oh, I got so much more, Nick, but you know, the clock is ticking there, so I'm done.
To kind of follow up on what Ed was saying earlier about on the corners that they're swooping.
Swoopy or sharp, yeah.
And I think I'm gonna assume, and Stephen or somebody can correct me, but I'm gonna assume probably the trucking industry is making those.
I thought about.
Yeah, but there's a lot of flexibility for that. So I'll give you examples. If the receiving leg has multiple lanes, it's okay if a truck tracks into the other lane. People will get out of its way. Emergency vehicles, trucks, they'll move slower, they'll swing into that second lane, that's okay. Mountable curbs, that's another thing. You can have a raised curb that helps protect people, but an emergency vehicle or truck, if need be, they can get over it. So it's a good question. And my understanding is, again, I'll be candid, it depends which engineer you ask. If you ask an engineer that is really focused on safety, they're going to say, no, we can make that tighter. And I'm sorry, the 1 out of 100 user may need to go a little slower, may need to track into another lane, may need to mount a curve a little bit. That's okay. But we're not going to put the swoopy thing in and make 99 people go really fast and run over Jason. So yeah, it's a factor, but remember the engineers have 100 different factors and they have a lot of flexibility in how they do that. And again, I'm thinking of A1A, International Speedway Boulevard on the island side, and then Beach Street. Those are examples where trucks go down those roads, but the new designs, I think, make it more likely that when they're turning, they're going to go a little bit slower, but they'll still get you your Amazon package.
And I noticed that we were on A1A in Flagler Beach this weekend, and I hadn't been there for a month or so. And most of the crosswalk signs are now functional along there, and I think that'll make a difference.
I was there too this weekend and I noticed that. And the swells that take the water in, boy, those are a hazard for motorcyclists and others in that area. But I understand the problem they're trying to solve.
Are you talking about A1A?
Yeah, A1A.
I actually want to say, in my view, the FDOT design for South A1A and Flagler Beach is among the best in the 2-county area. So I would actually disagree, Nick, with that assessment because it was designed for 25-mile-an-hour speed. And it is true that there's a raised curb.
Right.
So an imprudent driver that hits that is going to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, that FDOT design has dramatically reduced the speeds.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that 2 people died in that stretch prior to it being built. So there was a speed problem before, and the new design was intended to bring the speeds down. The lanes are 10 feet wide. There's a raised median. The curb corners are sharp. So in my view, that's a big success. And yeah, I have noticed that alcohol and bravado can overcome the best designs. But in
But
my
they go for
judgment,
tortoises, they're not drinking.
but in my judgment, that is like the most awesome FDOT design. I also happen to live in a block. I also happen to live a block from it and saw it before and after.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my view. And if a driver's going 30 miles an hour, they're going to feel like they may feel a little uncomfortable, but that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Is it does slow people. It slows down most drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Some drivers for whatever reason, might not. But
Yeah.
I think that the typical driver does. And you can walk across that road.
All right, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments? Maggie, go ahead. You on mute?
Was that me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to apologize that I can't always tell who is speaking because of some technical disconnect between the Netherlands and Daytona. But I did want to thank everybody that I could recognize, which was, of course, Jason, Stephen, and Ed, and Porna, and Amy, and everybody else who I could almost tell who was speaking. But I especially wanted to thank everybody that talked about making things safer. And I also want to mention that we do have a ribbon cutting coming up in DeBerry. And if anybody is interested in participating in that ribbon cutting, it's on September 9th. And please email me, Maggie at River to Sea Loop, and we will definitely want to include you in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Anybody else online have any comments for us today? Okay, there are information items in your agenda. Read them at your leisure. And I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, we got.
You done?